Hi folks, I hope that you guys are doing pretty well. So today is Saturday, the 26th of July 2025, and in today's video I'm going to decipher for you Isaiah chapter 60 verses 1 to 22, okay? Now, primarily Isaiah chapter 60, these are millennial kingdom prophecies, but the last four prophecies from 19 to verse 22, these are prophecies for eternity when we inherit the new Jerusalem, okay? In other words, the new heavens and the new earth, okay? So let us get straight into it. I got all the verses written down, so there's no point in me showing you the Bible, okay? So everything is right here, okay? Now just remember from the beginning that I haven't linked all these verses to all the prophecies that are related to the Bible. I'm just giving you a few, just to give you the main idea, if you like. Otherwise, it will take a very long time, okay? Alright, let's get to it, folks. On verse 1, it reads, Arise and shine, that's Israel, because Jesus is coming back to rule for the millennial kingdom. So Isaiah is saying, Arise and shine, Israel, for thy light, meaning Jesus, is come. That's Jesus, okay? And the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee, okay? And the glory of the Lord, okay, that's Jesus. And so he's saying here, Isaiah, arise and shine because Jesus is coming back, okay? So for my commentary, I put this is a millennial kingdom prophecy, of course, and chapter, but the last four prophecies, like I mentioned, from 19 to 22, are for eternity, okay? Now this prophecy is linked to multiple prophecies in the books of the prophets and Psalms, okay? Examples include Isaiah 51:4, okay? So this verse 1 is linked to Isaiah 51:4, and Isaiah 51:4 reads, Hearken unto me, my people, and give ear unto me, O my nation. For a law shall proceed from me, and I will make my judgment to rest for a light, okay? For a light of the people, like it says here, for the light is come, okay? See also Isaiah 12:2. Now Isaiah 12:2 reads, Behold, God is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid, for the Lord Jehovah is my strength and my song. He also is become my salvation, okay? See also Isaiah 44 verse 23 as another classic example. See Psalms 93 verses 1 and 2, Psalm 99 verse 1, and Psalm 100 verses 1 and 2 are great examples of this prophecy amongst dozens of others. There are so many that I can't go through all of them, okay? So verse 2, For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth rather, and gross circle this darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. Commentary. This prophecy is a millennial kingdom prophecy upon the arrival of Jesus' second coming. It's linked to Joel 2, Joel chapter 2 verse 2, like it says, a day of darkness, like it says here, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, okay? So Joel chapter 2 verse 2, it says, a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains. A great people and a strong, there has not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. Okay? It's also linked to Joel 3:15, the sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. It is also linked to Zephaniah 1:15, okay? That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wiseness and desolation, a day of darkness again, see? And gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, okay? Now here I put some extra commentary. The part of the prophecy which reads, and gross darkness the people, like I put a circle around there. That's actually interesting, and a gross darkness of the people. Let me give you my commentary on my extra commentary here. So the part of the prophecy which reads, and gross darkness the people, this part of the prophecy could well be, okay, or implying that after Jesus performed his judgments in the valley of Jehoshaphat, those that will die will go straight into hell, where they will burn forever and be left in utter darkness, Like it says in Matthew 22 verse 13, Then said the king to the servants, bind him hand and feet, and take him away, and cast him into utter darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So we have to watch out for this second part of the prophecy and gross darkness for the people. Now, in my view, in my understanding of this, I don't think that this part of the prophecy here is actually for Israel, because Jesus, like it says here on verse 1, is bringing the light to Israel. So this darkness is not only, that Jesus is coming, for the second coming to perform his judgments, but this gross darkness belongs to those that are going to hell, in my view. And gross darkness, the people, because it says here, look, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth. Okay, so we know that darkness is going to cover the earth because Jesus is coming to perform his judgment. But then it says, and gross darkness, it's kind of like an extra darkness, but I don't think that this gross darkness is actually linked to this first darkness here that is going to cover the earth. This first darkness here is to announce the second coming of Jesus to perform his judgment. But I think, in my view, that this other gross darkness, or this extra one, is actually, for those that are going to hell, in my view. Now, I'm not really sure. The Hebrew is actually alphanumeric, so it'll be interesting to know what the Hebrew alphanumeric says about this. I don't speak Hebrew. I can only go by my understanding of what I read in the King James Bible, but I think there's something extra here. That's why I circle it. And gross darkness, the people. In other words, like saying, hey, this is hell coming for those, that will face a judgment in the valley of Jehoshaphat, and gross darkness, the people, in other words, those that are going to be punished, if you like. It'll be, I wish I could speak Hebrew because I could decipher with more pinpoint accuracy. And normally when I decipher Bible prophecies, I like to be like a sniper, with pinpoint accuracy. That's how I like to decipher my things in the Bible, my prophecies. Okay. Now, did I move forward extrally? Oh, okay, yeah, I thought so. Yeah, verse 3. And verse 3 reads, and the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising. Now, these Gentiles coming to the light, and these kings of thy rising, they can only be those that make it through into the millennial kingdom, those left of the nations, if you like, because, once Jesus performs his judgment, only those Gentiles and all those kings, that God allows, they're the ones that are going to be seeing the light of God, if you like, and the brightness of Jesus, So, put for my commentary here, this is a millennial kingdom prophecy. Israel will be blessed by other nations, as according to Isaiah 60, verse 12. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. It is also linked to how nations will need to come up to Jerusalem every year to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles, as per the prophecy in Zechariah 14:16, which reads, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which come against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, in other words, Jesus, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This prophecy is also linked to Isaiah chapter 2, verses 3 and 4, and also Micah chapter 4, verses 2 and 3. And it reads, many nations, in Micah here, it reads, many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the Lord shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And then on verse 3 here of this Micah 4, it reads, and he shall judge among many people, and rebuke strong nations afar off. And they shall beat the swords into plowshares, and the spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against a nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. It's also linked to Isaiah 45:14, and see also Isaiah 49 verses 7 to 12. So, just to recap here, this verse 3, and the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and the kings to thy brightness of thy rising. This Gentiles and these kings can only be those that make it through after the judgment, in the valley of Jehoshaphat. Okay. Now, verse 4. Lift up thine eyes round about, and see all they gather themselves together. They come to thee. Thy sons shall come from afar, and thy daughters shall be nursed at thy side. Okay, so of course these are the Jewish people who will be coming back to Israel, to live in the Holy Land, in their country, in the Promised Land, So for my commentary here, this prophecy is about the returning back of the Jewish people back to Israel after suffering from the captivity and persecution in other foreign nations, like he says in Luke 21 verse 24, which paints a picture of this. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. See? And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Okay, but there is hope. See Isaiah 51:11, and it reads, Therefore the Redeemer of the Lord shall return, and come with singing unto Zion, and everlasting joy shall be upon their head. They shall obtain gladness and joy, and sorrow and mourning shall flee away. So this prophecy links up very well with Jeremiah 31 verses 8 and 9 as well. And on verse 8 here of this Jeremiah 31, it reads, Behold, I will bring them from the north country, and gather them from the coast of the earth. And with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travaileth with child together. A great company shall return thither. Okay, so basically, this prophecy here, verse 4, is about the Jewish people coming back, thus that God is going to redeem, thus that will make it, thus that are, in the book of life, if you like, like it says in Daniel chapter 12. Anyway, on verse 9 of this Jeremiah 31, it reads, They shall come with weeping and with supplications will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Now it's interesting that it says here, Ephraim is my firstborn. Could it mean that, that most of those that are coming back from captivity are actually from the tribe of Ephraim? Because it says here, Ephraim is my firstborn, meaning that, hey, when Jesus comes back to rule the millennial kingdom, perhaps the tribe of Ephraim, which is, Ephraim is one of the sons of Joseph, perhaps that will be the first tribe that will be, making it back. It's a big group, if you like. It's a big remnant coming back to Israel. I'm not really sure. It'll be interesting to, to know what the original Hebrew says about this, because Hebrew is alphanumeric. So I wish I knew Hebrew. I would be able to decipher with greater, with much greater accuracy, if you like. Anyway, verse 5. Then thou shalt see and flow together, and thy heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. Commentary. So once the blessings of Jesus are set in motion, okay, and the Jewish people begin to witness the abundance, okay, like it says here, that has come upon them, they will fear the Lord with reverence, okay. And this is illustrated in Isaiah verse 61:9, and it reads, And the seed shall be known among the Gentiles, and the offspring among the people. All the seed then shall acknowledge them, and they are the seed which the Lord hath blessed. Okay. See also Isaiah 62 verse 4 and Isaiah chapter 60 verse 12, etc., etc. So yeah, basically just to recap, then thou shalt see and flow together, and thy heart shall fear. In other words, the Jewish people, once Jesus comes back to restore them, he's gonna give them blessings, and the whole process will be set in motion, so to speak. They're gonna begin to witness the abundance that is coming upon them. So now then, verse 6, the multitude of camels shall cover thee, the dromedaries of Midian and Ephah. All they from Sheba shall come, they shall bring gold and incense, and they shall show forth the prices of the Lord. Commentary. So there will be a multitude of camels coming from the Saudi Arabian peninsula, if you like, from the dromedaries of Midian and Ephah, okay? the people or owners of these camels, if you like, will bring with them plenty of gold and incense to show their prices to the Lord. This is just one example of a prophecy as to how nations will come to Israel, to Jerusalem, and unto our Lord to honor Him. See also Isaiah 66:20, which is a great example in similarity to verse 6, and it reads, "And they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto the Lord out of all nations, upon horses, and in chariots, and in litters, and upon mules, and upon swift beasts, to my holy mountain Jerusalem, saith the Lord." As the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel into the house of the Lord. Yes, so basically many nations, will be bringing offerings, like it says here, unto the Lord. Okay. Now then, verse 7. All the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered together unto thee. The rams of Nebaioth shall minister unto thee. They shall come up with acceptance on my altar, and I will glorify the house of my glory. So for my commentary, I put the flocks from the Saudi Arabian Peninsula, again similar to verse 6, okay, included the rams, would be an acceptable offer unto the Lord on his altar, if you like, okay. And this prophecy can be linked to Isaiah 42 verses 11 and 12, and on verse 11 here of this Isaiah 42 it reads, "Let the wilderness and the cities thereof lift up their voice, the villages that Kedar doth inhabit. Let the inhabitants of the rock sing, let them shout from the top of the mountains." Okay, so it's kind of like glorifying God, in a way, Let them give glory unto the Lord and declare His praise in the islands. Okay, so that's another prophecy here that we can link it to in Isaiah 42. Okay, verses 11 and 12. Now, verse 8. "Who are these that fly as a cloud, and as the doves to their windows?" I put here for my commentary, this prophecy from Isaiah is actually extraordinary, because I think that what he's trying to say here is talking about aeroplanes, Who are these that fly as a cloud and as doves to the windows? In other words, Jewish people flying on aeroplanes, coming back to, doing Aliyah, or coming back to Israel, if you like, So yeah, this prophecy is actually, for the period of Isaiah, is actually extraordinary, when there were no aeroplanes to be seen, So yeah, this prophecy indicates how Jewish people living in exile will be coming back to live in Israel once again. Now, this prophecy is as extraordinary as Psalm 107 verse 23, which has got nothing to do with this, but on Psalm 107:23 reads, "They go down to the sea in ships that do business in great waters." In other words, deep waters. I think these are actually submarines, So I think that in as much as, I just talked about aeroplanes, this Psalm 107, I think is talking about submarines, That they go down can only be submarines, right? And do business in great waters. Extraordinary, prophecy there, Nonetheless, this verse 8 links up really well with Psalm 147 verse 2, and it reads, "The Lord doth build up Jerusalem, He gathers together the outcast of Israel." Other prophecies that link up with this verse 8, if you like, about the return of the Jewish people back to Israel include Isaiah 41:9, and especially Isaiah 43 verses 5 and 6, etc. See also Isaiah 45 verse 20, okay? There's a lot more, but I'm just giving you an idea, okay? Now verse 9, "Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring the sons from afar, the silver and the gold." So this is the Jewish people that are living in the United Kingdom. I believe that this Tarshish is actually to do with the United Kingdom. There's different locations, biblical locations regarding Tarshish. Some say Spain, others say the UK. I believe there is going to be, if there is referring to the UK, because a lot of rich people living, as a lot of rich Jewish people living, in the UK, in England, and they're going to bring the silver and gold with them, unto the name of the Lord thy God, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he has glorified thee, So for my commentary on verse 9, I put the Jewish people living in the British Isles or in the United Kingdom will wait until the Lord returns for the millennial kingdom, and they will bring back with them the silver and the gold to honor their Messiah Jesus. Generally speaking, this prophecy links up really well with Isaiah 43 verse 6, which reads, I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far and my daughters from the ends of the earth. Now, the reason that I linked it up specifically with Isaiah 43 verse 6 is that it just says, I will say to the north, give up, meaning that the Jewish people that are living, in the United Kingdom in the north, okay? Now, see also Jeremiah 31 verse 8, okay? Now, verse 10, and the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and the kings shall minister unto thee. For in my grief I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. So, basically, for my commentary, I put there are two parts to this prophecy. The first part reads, and the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and the kings shall minister unto thee. That's interesting, because what it's saying here is that the first part of this prophecy is suggesting that foreigners will help the Jewish people to rebuild back Israel upon the return of Jesus' second coming. This prophecy can be linked to Isaiah 43 verse 4. Since thou wast precious in my sight, thou hast been honorable, and I have loved thee. Therefore I will keep men for thee and people for thy life. Okay? So the fact that God is giving, men and people for Israel, this prophecy is good in that, God is going to be using people, strangers to help build, Israel, It can also be linked, this prophecy or this verse 10, if you like. It can be linked to Jeremiah 31:4, and it reads again, I will build thee, and thou shalt be built, okay? O Virgin of Israel, thou shalt again be adorned with thy tabrets, and shall go forth in the dances of them that make merry, okay? Now, the second part of the prophecy here, on this verse 10, it reads, for in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Okay, so God smote, Israel with Daniel's 70th week or with the tribulation period, but he's going to be bringing back a remnant, and he's going to have mercy on them, okay? So this second part of the prophecy can be linked to Jeremiah 30 verse 15. Why criest thou for thine affliction? Thy sorrow is incurable, for the multitudes of thy iniquity, of course, signing the covenant with the Antichrist, because thy sins were increased, I have done these things unto thee, It is also linked to Jeremiah chapter 30 verse 17, for I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal all thy wounds. Okay, so this is a promise, saith the Lord, because they call thee Anachas, saying, this is son who no man seeketh after. Okay, so he comes the promise. Okay, now verse 11, therefore thy gates shall be open continually, they shall not be shut day or night, that men might bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that the kings might be brought. Commentary, this is actually interesting. The gates of the new city, of course, is for the fourth temple, okay? Will be continually open, so that all nations and the kings might come and worship the Lord. This prophecy is linked to Psalm 86 verse 9, which reads, all nations whom thou hast made shall come and worship before thee, O Lord, and shall glorify thy name. Okay? It is also linked to Zechariah 14:16, and it reads, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacle. It is also linked to Isaiah chapter 2 verses 2 and 3, and also Micah 4:2, how people are going to be going up to worship God on Mount Zion, okay? Now, verse 12, for the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish, yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. Commentary, all nations shall serve Israel, or else Jesus will destroy them. This verse is linked to Isaiah chapter 60 verse 16, and it reads, "Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shalt suck the breast of kings, and thou shalt know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob." See also Isaiah 61 verse 6, okay? So yeah, the Jewish people will feed off other nations, okay? If you like, other nations will have to serve Israel, okay? Verse 13, "The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious." See Isaiah 41 verse 19. Now, I can understand that Jesus is going to be planting trees, from Lebanon and so on, the fir tree, the pine tree, and so on. But don't forget also the promises that God made to Abraham and to Moses, So commentary, Israel will inherit all the land of Lebanon as well, which was promised to Abraham as in Genesis 12:7, Genesis 13:15, Genesis 15:7, Genesis 15:18 in particular, and Genesis 17:8. And to Moses on Deuteronomy 34 verses 1 to 4. The fir tree and the pine tree will be useful materials as wood to decorate the fourth temple or God's sanctuary. See also Ezekiel 47 verses 13 to 25. Jesus will plant the trees of Lebanon in Israel, okay? But of course, Lebanon has to be part of Israel as well, according to the promises made to Abraham and so on. Verse 14, "The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord, the Son of the Holy One of Israel." Commentary. So a good indication of this prophecy is in Zechariah 8:23, and it reads, "Thus saith the Lord of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all them witches of the nations, and shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew, saying, We will go with you, for we have heard that God is with you." Okay? So, people, will throw themselves at the Jewish people, This prophecy is also linked to Isaiah 45:14, which reads, "Thus saith the Lord, the labour of Egypt, and merchandise of Ethiopia and of the Sabaeans." In other words, in the peninsula of Saudi Arabia, men of stature shall come over unto thee, and they shall be thine. Okay, they shall come after thee in chains, and shall come over, and they shall fall down unto thee. Okay, and they shall make supplication unto thee, saying, "Surely God is in thee, and there is none else. There is no God." Okay, so all nations will fall into the feet of the Jewish people. The Jewish people are going to be blessed tremendously. So, then verse 15, "Whereas those has been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations." This prophecy is well linked to Jeremiah 30:17, "For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord, because they call thee an outcast, saying, This is son whom no man seeketh." See also Isaiah 41:11, and Isaiah 62 verse 3, and Isaiah 65 verses 18 and 19, okay, which link to this verse 15 quite well, okay. Now then, verse 16, "Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shalt suck the breast of kings, and thou shalt know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob." So commentary, Israel will also feed itself from the produce of other nations, and will also gain favor from kings of other nations. One of the best prophecies to indicate this is on Isaiah 61:6, which reads, "But you shall be named the priest of the Lord. Men shall call you the ministers of their God. You shall eat," okay, "the riches of the Gentiles." Okay, so the Jewish people will eat the riches of the Gentiles, and the glory shall you boast yourself. See also Isaiah 66:12, okay, which is another good one. Now then, verse 17, and it reads here, For brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood, grass, and for stones, iron. I will also make thy officers peace, and thy exactors righteousness. So commentary, basically there are two parts to this prophecy. For brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver. This is suggesting that Jesus will bring wealth to Israel. Prophecies like Isaiah chapter 60 verse 6, which reads, all thy from Sheba will come, they shall bring gold and incense. Sheba, of course, is the Saudi Arabian peninsula. Also, it's linked to Isaiah 60 verse 9. Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from afar, the silver and gold with them. In other words, that the Jewish people that are coming from Tarshish or the British Isle will bring their gold and silver to honor God. Okay. Now, the second part of this prophecy, and it reads, I will also make thy officers peace, and thy exactors righteousness. So this part of the prophecy is about how the government administrators and the bureaucracy of Israel, if you like, will handle matters and government transactions with peace and honor. Okay. One of the best prophecies to indicate this is on Isaiah 62 verses 2 and 3. And on verse 2 it reads, and the Gentiles shall see thy righteousness, okay, and the kings thy glory, and thou shalt be called by a new name which the mouth of the Lord shall name. And on verse 3 it reads, thou shalt be a crown of glory in the hand of the Lord, a royal diadem in the hand of thy God. Okay, see also Isaiah 66 verse 12 where it talks about peace. So see how the administrators and the bureaucracy, they are going to be, peaceful, because Jesus is going to be there, and Jesus, will make sure that the Gentiles see righteousness, and also the kings, they see righteousness in the people of Israel because they're going to be a royal diadem. Okay. Now then, verse 18. Now, violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders, but thou shalt call thy walls salvation and thy gates praise. So from my commentary here, there will be no more violence of any kind in Israel again. God is going to take away all the sins of the people of Israel and restore the land like the Garden of Eden. Jesus will save Israel, and his covenant people will praise Jesus according to Psalms 111, 112, 113, etc., etc. This verse 18 links up really well with Isaiah 51:3, and then reads, for the Lord shall comfort Zion. In other words, there's not going to be any more violence. Okay, for the Lord shall comfort Zion, he will comfort all her waste places. Okay, like it says here, wasting no destruction. Okay, and he will make her wilderness like Eden. See also Ezekiel 36 verse 35 and Zephaniah 3:15. Okay. Now, to finish up then, last page, folks, verses 19 to 22 are prophecies for eternity when, according to the book of Revelation in chapter 21, verses 1 and 2, and on verse 1 it reads, I saw a new heaven and a new earth, and on verse 2 it reads, I'm just paraphrasing here, and I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And they also link up with Revelation chapter 22, verses 3 and 5. And on verse 5 it reads, and there shall be no light there, and they need no candle, neither light of the sun, for the Lord God give them light, and they shall reign forever and ever. So Revelation 22 verse 5 links up with Isaiah chapter 60 verses 19 and 20. So have a look at these prophecies, how they link together, because these verses 19 to 22 are prophecies for eternity, and you gotta link it to the book of Revelation in chapter 21, especially verses 1 and 2, and also Revelation chapter 22 verses 3 and 5. Okay, so if you read verses 19 to 22 and you read what I put down here, you will realize that these prophecies are actually for eternity. Okay, alright folks, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all later.